an introduction, my name's Marty Hofmann. My daughter Keziah is probably instrumental in getting you guys here. She kind of put this together, done a lot of the reaching out.
So she's not here. She's sick tonight. But tonight we're going to talk about mindset. And I realized if we're talking about real estate, we can talk about buying a house. We can talk about financing. We can talk about rehabbing. We can talk about all these different things. But if we don't ever get our mindset changed and in the game, then it's not going to matter, right? Anything you do, you got to adjust your mindset. So behind me is Ed McLett. He's a mindset guy. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Has anyone ever heard of him? So he actually coaches professional athletes on mindset and getting their mindset in the game. He's done a lot of things in his life. He went from nothing to ultra wealthy, but it's all about his mindset. It's all about your mindset. So we're going to watch about a 12-minute video with him. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Jay and I will do Q&A, but it'll be good. This is a book. How many of you guys have ever read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? So for me, this was a mindset changing book. This was a book that I read and I realized, well, and maybe a little background. My background was Dave Ramsey, okay? We're going to do it debt-free. We're going to just kind of be small-minded in that. And Robert Kiyosaki really pointed out that everything's controlled by debt. And I had to adjust my mindset to realize that, and to realize that the scalability of things leverage happens when you can leverage it with debt. And so this book was very instrumental in my life. 2018, I think, was when I read this. And it was very instrumental as far as changing things for me in my mindset. I could talk different times where my mindset had to change in regards to real estate, partnership with Jaden, COVID happened. That was a mindset shift. You know, we weren't sure what to do. The world was stopped. Do we push forward or do we stop? Jade and I at that point chose to partner up and ramp it up and really go all in. But it was a mindset shift. Instead of being hesitant and scared, we jumped in. So mindset's really important. I'm glad you guys are here. The fact that you're here tells me that you're having a mindset shift, or you have had a mindset shift, and you want to do great things. So with that, we're going to start the video. There's some notepads in front of you. You guys can take notes if you want. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit more. So enjoy.
How many of you guys have read this book, The Power of One More? Anybody? It's really good. I haven't read Max Out Your Life, but it's on my list now. Mindset is everything. And I mean, he gave us some practical advice. Do you guys realize you look at this 400 times a day? Yeah. My screensaver, I've got other stuff on here, but I have it as ambitious, intentional, and committed. These are 3 words that I want on my obituary someday that I'm known for. And so I did this a year ago. I put it on my screensaver. Honestly, I kind of flash over every time, but it is there. So maybe it is going to my brain a little bit. But I did that because I heard about the power of that and seeing that. Literally, take you 10 minutes to do, and you can have it in front of you all the time. So I thought that was really good. Replace. You know, we've got 75,000 thoughts going through our head every day. 9% are new thoughts, right? Why is that? It's because the 91% of that was that, let's just say 70,000 thoughts are repetitive things we do all the time, or habits, right? We don't have to think about getting dressed because we know we're going to get dressed. I mean, how many people walk around without clothes on, right? It's a habit. Realize it or not, we have a lot of habits in our life. And when you start adjusting your mindset, you also have to adjust your habits. And that may be if you're getting real estate, maybe a new habit you have, instead of scrolling Facebook, you're going to scroll Zillow. I mean, maybe it sounds kind of boring, but I can kind of geek out on Zillow sometimes. A lot of times late at night, Jade and I are sending each other deals saying, hey, what do you think about this one? And it's because him and I have this habit, probably unconsciously habit. We open up Zillow and we scroll and we look at deals. But you're going to replace your mindset. If your mindset shifts from one thing to another, you're going to replace old habits with new habits. And maybe it's Zillow, maybe it's reaching out to friends and saying, hey, what do you got going on? I took up running last year, and so what you have for me is run. And when it's a running day, guess what? I lay out my clothes. Those are the clothes that go on. I don't put running clothes on and not run. It just doesn't happen. So when the clothes go on, Marty goes out running, and it's that habit. The other thing we talked a little bit about was intentionality. This is probably one of my secrets. Not a secret. This is a Brandon Turner journal. It's called The Intention Journal. Brandon Turner. How many of you guys have heard of Brandon Turner? Most everybody? Brandon Turner is a real estate guru. He reads a lot of self-help books, and I believe this is his version of all the self-help books as far as the journaling go. What happens in this book is it's a 90-day journal, so it's part of the 12-week year, and you write your 3 big goals down. You write why you want those goals, each one, and you write what it looks like to accomplish those, and then you go after it. There's a weekly battle plan where you actually write those things again, and then but you also identify an obstacle and what you'll do to overcome the obstacle. Just to go through this weekly is a big deal. If you're running a business of any sort or doing anything, you want to be more intentional, it's a good practice. There's a daily battle plan, and with that, there's a 30-minute increment of how you would schedule your day. I don't do this all the time. It takes time. But guys, when I do it, I get results because it's forcing me to be more intentional. There's actually an evening review where you check your day. You guys want to get more intentional? You want to make your mindset shift from only thinking about something 9% of the time to that 91% of the time? You do this journal because it's gonna help you be more intentional. It's gonna make you think about that mindset shift you're trying to get into all the time. The other thing I was thinking, he didn't really talk about it here, but something that greatly affects our mindset is our influence, right? So, what's our biggest influence? Someone tell me. People you're around. It could be family, it could be friends. They're going to influence what you think, what you talk about, everything you do. So if you're having a mindset shift from, let's just say from Dave Ramsey to Robert Kiyosaki, you're probably going to need to start hanging out with people that are in the Robert Kiyosaki, right? Yeah. You want to get out of debt and not have any debt, you're going to hang out with people that Dave Ramsey can. But your mindset is probably going to be affected by your friends. Not to say you can't have friends in that camp, but an illustration of this would be if Mike is sitting in a chair and him and I grab hands and my goal is to pull him up and his goal is to pull me down, he's probably going to win, right? Because it's easier to pull someone down than to pull someone up. So if you can get with people who are already up and alongside you, it's a lot easier than someone that always is just pulling you down. The other influence we have in life that we underestimate greatly is media. How many guys have a habit of waking up, grabbing your phone, start scrolling, right? That's a habit. I would predict, if I was AI and I could read your phone, I could predict, I think, knowing how strong AI is, where your mindset is by looking at your social, what pops up on your social, whether it's YouTube Shorts or Instagram or Facebook videos. You can tell a lot about somebody by just 2-3 seconds on what pops up on their social. And that's because that's what's influencing us. So don't underestimate the power that AI or technology is going to try to get in front of you, how they want you to think and how they can get you to consume more. You can have a feed that is feeding you stuff in regards to a real estate mindset or a building a business mindset, or I have feeds right now on my Google. If I put Google, I can show you guys, but you guys would see that I like OU, that I read self-help stuff. There's almost always an article about 7 habits that will change your life. There's always something about interest rates and real estate. And I think there's one more thing I could look, but those are the things that Google knows I like to look at, and it's always putting stuff in front of me regarding that. But we have the option to put that stuff in front of us and to train AI to feed us that stuff by what we look at in regards to media. So don't underestimate the power of that. And then the other thing I kind of mentioned early on is books. We have no excuse not to be consuming books because we have a thing called Audible. I think there's other programs where you can actually just take pictures of the page and have it read it to you if you don't want to use Audible. But there's tons of technology out there now that make it super easy to consume books and learn. You know, you can read a book like this, Robert Kiyosaki. Took him 20 years to get these principles. And he writes it down. In 4 hours, you can consume this. And someone else will even read it to you. So it's like a no-brainer that we should be consuming more books and having that adjust our mindset. So those are some pointers I would have in regards to mindset. Not only what he said in regard to replace bad thoughts with better thoughts, changing our phone setting. What was number 3?
At bed, when you go to bed, and when you wake up.
Bookend your day. Bookend your day. Something I started doing, I mean, I have my morning routine, but something I started doing as a result of some of this stuff in regards to changing my mindset is every night when I get into bed, I have a journal right there. And this is a result of a book I read called The Gap and the Gain, I believe. I'll write the date and then I'll write wins. And I write three big things that happened that day. Maybe I bought a house. Maybe I went on a date with my wife. Maybe we got a house rented. But I always write 3 wins. And by doing that, it allows me to have gratitude or celebrate it and acknowledge it. Otherwise, it's easy just to always push, and then you can burn out because you're never seeing those things as victories. Then I'll write tomorrow's wins. The reason I write tomorrow's wins and I come up with 3 big things I want to do is your mind will actually be working while you sleep on problem solving on how to make those things happen. So I'll write tomorrow's wins and I'll spend a little time. I'll write 3 things. Maybe it's buy a house. Maybe it's hire somebody. Maybe it's get a job complete. Once I do that, then I write, I am grateful for ... And I will write until that page is full of just 1 sentence things that I'm grateful for. What I have found from doing this, guys, in regards to your mindset, is it shifts your mindset because all the next day, you know you're going to write in the journal, and it makes you look for things to be thankful for. And it makes you a nicer person because you tell people, hey, thank you. Hey, thank you. Hey, I appreciate that about you. So that's something I do to bookend my day. I do at the end of the day. And this journal, we actually started with that as well, something I'm thankful for. So those are some tips I would have for you guys on shifting your mindset, getting more in the game. I heard recently that, we have our brains, but I think we only use like 7% of them at a time. So imagine if we could use the full potential of our brain, what we could accomplish. I went to a conference this last year, and they had a picture of our current president and then our previous president, and they were not the very glamorous pictures of them at all. I'll let you guys imagine. But it said, if they can do it, you can do it. And it's a mindset shift. So we all have the capability of doing great things, but not until we shift our mindset. and do them. So I might just open this up for Q&A. Jane, you want to come up and maybe you can share something about how you've had a mindset shift. You guys got any questions?
I guess when he talks about mind shift, the first experience I had where I really had to shift my mindset was I played baseball growing up. I was a high school baseball player. I was pretty good for high school. I was all-state, had a lot of home runs, got a lot of offers, went to college. When I got to college, I realized within like the first couple of practices, man, everyone's good here. And not everyone throws 75 miles an hour right down the middle. You know, there's curveballs, they're throwing 89, 90 on the corner. And, you know, my talent and my skill level, this my athletic ability had gotten me to where I was. But now I really had to shift my mindset to get the advantage of these people that were better than me. Because when I got to college, there was a lot of people better than me on my team. So I really had to shift my mindset on what does it take to compete with these guys. And it was hard work. It was thinking about baseball all the time. It was showing up before everyone else showed up to get more cuts in the cages, to get one more rep in the gym. So that's kind of the first time I really had to dig in and change my mindset. So do you guys have any questions? Do you have to answer our questions? Yeah.
So I do have a question. So a lot of us in here, you know, we're trying to get the real estate. You know? So for someone that's trying to get their first deal, what would you guys say would be like the first 3 things that they would really need to work on as part of, because you guys mentioned a few things like mindset and like focus and stuff. What would be 3 things you guys would suggest? And what does that look like? Like where would the sources be?
Yeah, my advice is to get around people that have done it. My experience was my dad was a real estate investor. My dad knew how to run deals, knew how to buy deals, knew where to get money to buy deals. So for me, when I first got a job and had money to buy my first deal, first thing I did was, of course, I got on sale level, got a deal, and I ran it by a couple of people that had done it before me. You're only as good as the people you're around, and that would be my advice, is to just get around people, run deals by people. There's a lot of people that are willing to help you run numbers to make sure it's a good deal, to make sure it's going to be doable. It's another advice would be to talk to the bank about it. You know, banks are in the business of loaning bad money. So if you bring a deal to a lot of lenders, if you say, hey, I'm buying it for list price and it's going to rent for this, a lot of times when you say, well, I'm not going to be running because we're going to be negative on cash flow after taxes and insurance. So, yeah, just get around people, seek advice from people that are smarter than you, because there's always people that are smarter than you.
And I would say just do it. Like, you probably read all the books or you know enough. There's probably something holding you back. Just do it, man. Like just make it happen, because you got the bank, you got people in your life saying it's a good deal. Your mindset's there. Then just make it happen. Get in there and learn. You're gonna make mistakes. Like, get over the fear. Maybe that'd be it. Get over the fear of failure. Because just make a mistake and move on. Fix it. You know, everything's figure outable. So if you go bankrupt, you go bankrupt. Start over. Probably not going to happen. I mean, English is really stupid, but I mean, there's so many ways out, and especially I mean, Jake talks about it around people. If you go to certain ones out there and you got people in your life, they're going to tell you, you know, hey, you got to stop, do this, or we'll buy out from you, we'll save your vacant or whatever. But we'll just dive in. Find the deal.
Where would we find like the groups to be around? So you guys were saying like find people that think those deals.
One place is just Facebook. Get on Facebook. There's all kinds of social groups on there. Think 20 years ago what a guy had. Like, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have these social groups. there was not a lot of books written. We didn't have Instagram. I mean, there's so much information out there now. But I would say get on Facebook, find someone who wants to meet up, come to stuff like this.
Yeah, I would say just get around people. The first meetup we had was 2 months ago. Randy's not here, but I'm gonna use Randy. Randy had moved from Austin. He had done a lot of real estate in Austin. Mark got too hot, moved to Oklahoma City. He had that fear of jumping back into real estate because the way the market was in Austin. After our meetup, he said, "Hey, I love to talk. What can I do to meet up with you again?" I said, "Well, Marty and I have been meeting with the group of guys every Thursday after at Open Coffee at 7 a.m. Every Thursday for the last 10 years. All we do is talk real estate. We talk other stuff, we talk family, the Bible, a lot of other things." But he said, "Okay." He's came 2 or 3 times, and since that time, he's already bought a deal, has been under contract, set up 2 deals, a really good deal that's going to give him a lot of money. But his mind shift changed when he came here, and he just asked questions and asked how can I get involved. So it's kind of that fear of just inviting yourself or showing up to an event that you don't want to show up to. Networking is such a big deal, and you know that. So, yeah, it's how to find this.
This is kind of a different question. I was told that the easiest way to actually build wealth is through real estate. One, is that true? And two, is owning real estate like having your own little piggy bank that you can dip into? And what do you think about that? About dipping into your real estate? Should we keep it? Should we sell? Should we rent? Why do you guys do what you do? No.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, obviously, we do what we do is to provide for our families is number one. The way the market is will kind of determine what you do. So like in 2020, when we joined up, our whole goal was long-term investment. What's going to get us the most money 20 to 30 years down the line. And so our main goal was buy and hold. We wanted to buy houses. We wanted to hold them. We wanted to rent them out. And in 15, 20 years, when our note was off, they were free and clear and they were bringing in passive income. And our cash on cash return was fine. So that kind of shifted when interest rates went up. So this past year we've shifted because you really can't, it's really hard to find a deal right now with a 9% interest rate, buy it and rent it out in cash flow. So what our mind shift had to switch. What we're doing now is a lot of flips. We're buying houses, we're fixing them up nice and we're selling them. So that's to get capital. And when interest rates drop again, we'll have that cash on hand to pour back into the market and buy our buy and holds. So it really depends on the market is kind of what I'm saying. Your first question was, is real estate the best thing to invest in? Is that what was the question? To build wealth?
Yes.
I think if you look at history and the way it repeats itself, he could give you a lot better stats than I can, but I think I'll just let him give you the answer of the stats. He knows a lot more than me.
Well, that's right. I think historically speaking, I think like 70% of millionaires got their wealth through real estate. And the reason you can get your wealth through real estate is you can, especially in America. In America is unique in that we have long-term debt, meaning we can lock it in at this price for 30 years. Other countries don't have that. So you can lock in. Well, we'll choose today. You lock in something today, it's 9% interest, but you're going to lock it in at $150,000. And that's going to be paid out over, on commercial loans, it's 20 years, typically 20 years. But what happens over 20 years, historically speaking, now you can look this up for yourself. You can do your own charts. Historically speaking, in America, rents will double in that period of time. but the valuation will triple. Okay, that's historically speaking, medium household price in America. You can Google it. It'll triple in 20 years, rents will double. The thing is you locked it in at this price, today's price, and you took someone's money over here, the bank's money, to leverage it, and you took someone else's money over here to rent it out, and hopefully the rent pays the mortgage, and you're the middle guy holding the money, moving the money, and 20 years later, rents have doubled, values have tripled. So is it the best way to wealth? There's other ways to wealth, but it is super leverageable as far as what you can do with someone else's money, the bank's money, someone else's money, the tenant's money, to pay off an asset that goes up in value over 20 years. So,
And I would go on to say it's a physical asset. So if you get in trouble, you can liquidate it. Unlike a stock or a bond or a 401k, a lot of times you tap into 401ks, you pull it, you're getting taxed out the wazoo. And then, like you said, the rich are in real estate. So there's a lot of tax advantages as far as depreciation and appreciation going up on the other end. So
then it is like a little piggy bank at times if you need.
it is like a savings account. Jaden's dad has always said that. It's like a savings account in the sense that it's there, there's equity there, but it's better than the savings account because it's hard to get to. So you can refi it and you can pull cash out or you can sell it, but that's always a process. It's not like you can just go to your savings account tomorrow and pull the money. We can pull $20,000 off a house, off a refi, or we could pull that from selling it, but it takes more time. And so
we've bought, for instance, we've bought in a couple of deals this year that are negative cash flow. So we're renting it out and we're losing money every month on it. And the reason we've done that is we know it's in a great area and we know over the next 15 years it's going to appreciate. If interest rates drop next year, I don't know if they will. If they drop, we can refinance and then it will cash flow. But we're willing to take a $100 loss a month on that house right now because we have other assets that are cash flowing monthly because we know the appreciation is going to be there. So that's hard to do. I wouldn't advise it until you have a big portfolio to where you're bringing in a lot of money on the back end from your other rentals. But once you get to it, you have to look at the appreciation.
And are those long-term, the ones that you're raising?
Yes, those are long term.
So my last question. So have you guys ever pulled money from houses to buy new houses?
You mean like a cash out refund?
Have you guys refinanced other houses?
Lazar, I don't think we have. And the reason we haven't, you maybe have. The reason we haven't is when we became business partners a couple of years ago, interest rates were 5%. Now they're 9%. So we would love to tap in and pull some equity out, but I don't want to reset my loan at 9%. Like I lose all that because the 9% on 100,000's $900 a month, roughly. I mean, that wouldn't quite be right, but whereas 5% is $500 a month. So to answer your question, no, him and I have not personally done a refi. We have sold stuff this year because we said, hey, the market's still up here. We bought it down here. We don't want to refi, and this is the ugliest house in the street, so we're going to sell this one. And that's how we have pulled capital that way.
And then also if we're getting flips, right?
Yes, we've done flips this year, more intentional. We're still buying and holding. Jaden said we're doing flips mostly. We're still buying and holding. We still put houses back in. But it's a smaller criteria now. Whereas 21, 22, we were buying bigger houses that now we're selling because they're too big. Bigger houses don't make sense to rent. But yeah, we are selling. We're doing flips to get that capital, get that cash.
Who are you seeing that buying houses from you? Do you flip them? The cash buyers, like where you seeing that they get what type of part of it is buying?
Right now, I've noticed the higher end homes are still going. You get around that medium price range.
What's medium?
Medium price range, 200,000 to 250. They're harder to move. But I'd say first-time home buyers are and VAs. The FHA and VAs are your best buyers right now. A lot of cash buyers. The rich are always going to buy, but your FHA and your VAs are your top buyers right now.
So you're staying under the 250 range or under the 200?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a few over that and they sat.
They've been sitting.
Yeah.
So how long? Until we rent them.
Or like in the flips. Have you done any flips recently over 275?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done a couple, and they've sat for probably 60 days. You know, whereas in the same type of house in 20, multiple offers first week.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing based on interest rate. No one's going to downsize based on interest rates right now. If you bought a house in 2020 for $200,000, you're looking at a house that's like $125, and you're paying the same interest. So, that's just removed a lot of people from the market.
I pulled a house off the market, couldn't sell it. And I was like, I'm not going to carry it
Through the winter, we'll just rent it. And I immediately got a call from a real estate agent saying he wanted to list it for me, whatever. And I said, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to rent it. I said, but this is what I said. This goes back to the conversation I had about mindset. I said, I'm going to put it up for sale again once people's mindset shifts to paying higher interest rates, because that's part of the problem right now we have, is interest rates are higher than they've been in the last 10 years. And people's mindset can't adjust to that. But I do think that let's say interest rates stay where they are, people will be buying houses next year because their mindset has said, you know what, I can't keep waiting. I need to buy, even if it's 8 or 9%. So sometimes our mindset has to catch up to our times too.
That would be the same if it went up to like 13% and then dropped back down. Then you could have a
And there's stories from 2022, agents having houses under contract, interest rates going to 4.5, and people backing out because interest rates went to 4.5. Well, now those people are, they were waiting because that was too high. Now they're looking at twice that. So. What else you guys got?
Keep asking them.
I don't only do video. I want to be rich too. Okay, so you're broke. You started a new business. How does one prepare themselves to do anything?
It's kind of what we've talked about. It's being around people that do it. It's coming to stuff like this. It's adjusting your mindset. And at some point in time, you just got to get in there and do it. There are like the conventional ways of doing things, and then there's the unconventional way of doing things. And with real estate, there are so many options to leverage people's money and time. There's a girl I follow on Instagram, Lisa's and Lattes. She's like 22 years old, and she uses hard money. I mean, it's a private fund, private investors giving her money, but she uses family and friends for the down payment, and she just makes them a business partner with her on the deal. But she has been able to, I think she has like 50 doors now, something like that, all over the United States. She hasn't used any of her own money. She's a college student. She just got out of college. But she's been creative, and she used people she knew and hard money to buy assets. And so sometimes you got to be creative, and you got to bring people in that do have money, that want to be a partner, because there's lots of people that have money, but they don't want to be the operations. So you become the operations, you create systems around it, and they become your business partner.
Can I respond to her? I am an Airbnb host, and oh gosh, I've been an Airbnb host since 2016, and I started with my own house, and it's just me and my 2 kids in the house, and so we move out and let people rent it for game days because we're in Norman, and from there I fell in love with hosting, and so the next thing that I did was I knew I couldn't afford to purchase a property, but I had heard about rental arbitrage, where you go and you look for houses that are for rent and you present them with this pitch of, can I rent your house and re-rent it on Airbnb? And the upsides of that is I want to be a long-term tenant of yours and I'm going to keep it in perfect condition. And so, I probably heard 25 no's, and then this guy was like, yeah, okay, let's talk more about this. And I was like, I'm a 5-star host. Like, I'm not going to let, people ruin your property, and I will re-sign my lease every year. And we've been, I guess you could say, business partners for 4 years, but I don't give him a cut of anything. I just pay him rent. And so that was one way when I had no cash, well, barely any cash. I did that. And the only cost up front was furnishing the place, and that you can, ask friends, ask college students to help, like what's in style, where do you shop, things like that. So that was one of my steps in my journey that kind of has helped me get a little bit of cash, to start building up that. Yes. Shannon Williams.
Can I use this video for his content?
Whatever. Sure, I guess.
I think that's awesome.
We met Sharon at it was more like real estate agent thing down in OKC. We sat at her table and we talked, and so that's, I mean, there's opportunity to meet people and do this. Another thing you can do would be wholesaling, and wholesaling is basically is basically flipping paper. Maybe Jaden, you can talk about that.
What would you say?
Wholesaling.
Wholesaling.
You could
We'll say,
and just go after stuff they like.
you want to talk about?
No, not silly.
No, what they were talking about was wholesaling, and that's basically a way to get capital to get into the game. You're basically playing the middleman. You find someone that wants to buy that needs to sell their house, whether that's divorce, probate, taxes. You go in, you find out their pain point. That's the best way to get a house, is to find their pain point, and you solve their problem. You get it under contract, and you network with people that buy in certain areas. I talked to Nick earlier. I told him where I buy. I'm going to be in his buy box now. You find out people that are going to buy in certain areas, and then you just pitch that deal to them, and you sign a contract with them. Both contracts go to the title company, and basically you make the difference. It's a really easy way to get capital to get started. Marty and I do it primarily to skim deals off the top, but it's also a great way to build connections with other investors, get ideas, and get capital. I mean, we've hit some home run wholesale deals over the year without pouring a lot of effort into it. I'd say wholesale is a business. The more you pour into, the more you're going to get out, just like any business. But there's a lot of people that need to sell their home, and if you get those people, in front of those people and just talk to them and find out their pain point, it's really easy to get them to sell. So.
I would add on to you. We need to talk actually afterwards, because I also do rental arbitrage. But we started in 2021. My business partner and I. Now we have nine homes in a year and a half, and it's getting that first person to say yes to you, building a solid relationship with them, and then they tell all their friends. Yeah. And so now we just get calls constantly, and we turn them down. And building the automations and getting all that set. We're Superhost as well. Guest favorites now in all 9 of our homes. And there's a huge strategy to it. Actually, Nick and I we went up at Edmond, went and walked through a home earlier before we came here to see if this would be a good thing to arbitrage as well in a different way. And even if I didn't have a whole lot, I had like $2,000 in my pocket, my business partner had $2,000 in his pocket. I said, how the hell do we get in real estate? I mean, the price of houses are astronomical. And I said, hey, I saw this thing on TikTok. I don't know if it works, but we should try it out. He said, all right, let's go to YouTube. So we learned it all on YouTube, and we just did it. You know, we just did it. We went to the bank.
Shift changed.
Yeah, we got business set up and went to the bank, opened up our first business account, and just pulled out credit cards for a year, 2 year interest free, and use that to purchase all of our furniture, and then get those things listed as fast as you can, pay off those credit cards, start cash flow.
Where?
What's your name?
Bring
Can I use this video for content purposes? Thank you.
I had a question. Where are you guys finding success doing that? Is it college campuses around hospitals? And
So, yeah, I'll give you a golden nugget. College campuses, no, that's seasonal.
seasonal.
That's very seasonal.
Football.
Hospitals is where it's at. And so we partnered a lot with traveling nurses. Now that COVID isn't as popular, as busy, traveling nurses aren't coming to us as much, but we made those connections.
Yeah.
We partner with the Proton Center. A lot of people come up here to get cancer treatments for months at a time. Those are great bookings, and a lot of times their insurance will pay for it. Partnering with insurance companies for people who are displaced families. They pay premium. And so if you can cut out that middleman and go straight to the insurance company, you get his premium price. So yeah, we always have a whole formula of where's this house at? Is it fit in our box? And what type of clientele are we going to attract? And go off of her. So we don't just put them anywhere. Very, very strategic, because if you put them in the wrong area, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
I wanted to ask you guys, Jaden, I guess they can kind of go to both of you guys, but Jaden more being an athlete, a good athlete in high school and then going to college, and like you said, the shift from the high school level to collegiate, made you realize how, it's going to be a little harder. Did that happen with you guys when you guys first started real estate, and then now to the level where you guys are at? Like, obviously it's a little bit more competitive. There's a lot, the newer generation, social media. Is it harder to kind of, or
I mean, I'll be honest. The biggest hurdle was just jumping in. I was lucky enough when I first got married, I inherited a little bit of money from my grandfather, and it was poured into I had watched my dad invest in real estate growing up, and long story short, I got married, and that's when I could tap into that money that was given to me. And within a week that I got married, went on a honeymoon, bought a house, and then I bought a rent house and fixed it up, and all the money was gone. Then I had a meeting with the trustees of the people that gave me the money, and they're like, "So do you have a plan with your money?" And I was like, "Well, it's all spent." And my dad was in the corner, and he was kind of like smiling. Yeah, that's my son. And I bought a house. I bought a house for $50,000 off the MLS. I put $30,000 into it, and it appraised for $145. I cashed it out. I put the note at $100,000, and it was cash flowing like $250 per month right off the bat. And my 9 shifts switched right there. Like, if I can just do this over and over and over again, it's going to like double my W-2 job that I'm working here. Because at the time I was working as a healthcare administrator, running a nursing home. So basically what I did was that same thing, which basically the BRRRR method. I don't know if you guys have heard of the BRRRR method, but it was basically that. I bought a house, I remodeled it, I refinanced, and I just repeated it. And I did it over and over and over again until I got to a point where I could kind of separate myself and stop working so much with the family business. And that's when I kind of hopped in with Marty, and I met Marty at church. It's kind of a funny story. Met Marty at church, never talked to him before, but I'd seen him at church several times with he has 6 kids. So his kids always sat in the middle, and they were easy to notice. So I saw him, and I'd been in real estate for a little bit. I probably had a portfolio of 12 to 15 homes. And I went to the sheriff's cell in Guthrie, and I noticed he was there, and I'd been eyeing this house for months and months. And
He let me have it.
long story short, they opening bid, minimum bid. He hopped in first, and I looked over and I was like, "That's Marty from church." And as much as I wanted to bid, I didn't bid. I let him get it. Then he came over to me and he's just like, "My wife's gonna kill me. My wife's gonna kill me." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, she told me right before I left that whatever you do, don't buy that house." And he bought it, and I was like, "Dude, that's gonna be a good house. You're gonna make a lot of money." And long story short, we started talking. We used some of the same contractors, and I can't remember. I guess our first deal was it an Airbnb deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, our first deal was he was talking to me about Airbnb. I didn't really know much about it, but there's a place in Guthrie called the Lazy Arena. It's full of it's an arena for cowboys and stuff. And there's a house right across the street, and we bought it and Airbnb'd it, and it was really good. They had with Airbnb we had the horses that we could rent out, the stalls. Yeah, we basically cornered off a corner of the property, and we were able to rent out stalls for the horses for like $60 a night. So it's pretty cool.
That house I bought, guys, I was rehabbing another house at the time. All my capital was tied up. And I didn't realize, like, sheriff sale, like, it's not as easy as a normal house to get a loan for. So I went to the bank, and they were like, "No, we're not loaning on that." It's a different bank than I'm with now. So I actually went to discover.com, and you can get a personal loan on discover.com. Like $35,000 loan. I bought the house for 43. So I used like credit card debt to buy that house. But all I did was I closed it with title at the courthouse, and then I refied it a month later. It appraised for like $72,000. So I pulled $10,000 out. I put the note at like $55,000, and I was off to the races with it. But yeah, it was a big thank you to Jaden. I actually sold that house this last year. I think I sold it for 115, and like I didn't do anything to it. The market just went up, and we took advantage of it. So lots of ways to do it, but yeah, you just got to get involved if you can.
Can you repeat that again about the burr?
Burr is to buy.
Hold on a second.
The burr strategy in real estate is to buy, to rehab it, to rent it, refinance, and repeat. So burr, you buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And you do that over and over and over. You get your capital. A lot of guys use line of credits. They do it over and over and over. You put it in long-term debt at the end of it and use the tenants to pay it off. And it really works. In regards to your question on mindset,
I was in the line.
Jaden had a mindset shift early on. Well, he kind of grew up with it. I didn't grow up with it at all. And I was, like I said, I was very Dave Ramsey in the way I was raised to be no debt. So I got through college without debt. I didn't have debt. I had a house free and clear when I was 30 because I really strove for that. So I would say I've had a lot of mindset shifts. First one was I was in partnership with my wife, which was great. We did a lot of deals together. So shifting to a mindset of Jaden was a mindset shift for me, an outside partner. Another mindset shift I had was I used to do everything myself. I mean, everything. Wire, the plumbing, I mean, everything. So another mindset shift was hiring people to do the work for me. And then it was property management. And I mean, it's all these things I've had to shift my mind because I want to do these things. I want to be involved, but realizing that there's other people that are better qualified to do them or can do a better job. So I would say for me, my mindset's continually changing, and I'm continually trying to learn like where's the next shift for me that I need to adjust my mind to so that I don't stay over here in this mindset because I want to continue to grow and scale and not just do 3 houses or 6 houses a year. So that's what I would say. It's a continuous journey on that mindset. There's certainly times where you look back and you're just like, man, it's a no-brainer. Like rents go up, you can see it. Debts go down. Your margin of your financial statement, what's that called? Your net worth grows every year as debt gets paid off and values go up. So it becomes a no-brainer. And that's why, like James said, we're content this year to lose $100 a month on some houses that are 9.25 interest rates because we know we got $60,000 of equity.
You're going to lose $1,200 a year, but it's appreciated X amount. The value's gone up way more than that. It's going to triple every 20 years.
But that's a mindset shift because initially we would not have done that. Miles?
I was going to ask about, this kind of goes back to what you were saying. I think I had a friend that had like 60 houses and he, every 5 or 6 years, he pulls out as a big cash out refinance. And this year he pulled close to $1 million out. Well, 25. Well, I guess this was last year. He pulled out about almost $1 million. And it's all tax free.
What he pulled out? What?
So he did a cash out refinance on a portion of his portfolio and was able to pull out a bunch of.
The banks will usually refinance around 75 to 80% of the value of the home. So when they're talking about refinancing, they're talking about if they send out an appraiser and the appraiser says the house is worth $100,000, you can refinance that house for $75,000 to $80,000. So if you bought it for, if your note on it's for 40, you can go to the bank and say, I want to get this appraised, refinance it. They'll give you a check for $40,000 because you have a $40,000 note. So you get $40,000. That money's tax free. That's another thing that's good about the BRRRR method is if you do it right, if you do it good enough, you can basically you can make money off the top of it and it's tax free as well.
A lot of wealthy people use it because they'll continue to refi, they'll continue to pull capital because it is tax free. And then your interest payment, I mean, kind of sounds oxymoron, but your interest payment is also tax free. So if you raise your interest payment, start your loan over, your interest payment goes up, you pay less in taxes. And that's what a lot of those guys want ultimately is a lower tax bill rather than a higher tax bill. So they can refi, they can pull money out tax free. They get their other tax break of interest tax free, and they just keep repeating the process. Every 4 or 5 years, debt gets paid down on a house. In the meantime, values go up. That margin gets big, and when it gets to maybe they get to 60% value to there, they'll refi, they'll pull that 20% back out. If you got 50 houses, it's $1 million. You do that again and again and again. It's all tax free. The government doesn't tax you for it, and you just keep putting the money to work. And a lot of those guys,
I've had to do it several times in the 8 years that I've been doing real estate, where I have a lot of equity in one house and I'm low with capital at the time, and the rehab's taking longer, or a house has been sitting on the market and I don't want to stop or I want to buy something else. I'll just call the bank up and say, hey, I need to refinance this, and we'll send out an appraiser, and in 3 to 4 weeks I'll have a check.
Well, so just let you both be on notice. I'm Airbnb in your house.
If you can figure out how to do it, you pay rent. I don't care.
I'm joking.
She rents from us.
I didn't even know. It's funny. I did not know until I signed the lease, and I happened to be like, he called the property manager while I was signing the lease, and I'm sorry, she was telling me about the lease, explaining everything to me, and I'm like, wait, that voice on the phone. She goes, oh yeah, that's Marty. He's the owner. I'm like, Marty? Glasses? like 17 million kids. So yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
We really, guys, want to get more people involved in this because we feel like we want competition. Jay and I are competitive, but we want competition, but we want it because when we're passive about this, when the world is passive about this, Wall Street is slowly buying up real estate. And I think last year, 1 in 7 houses in America were bought by Wall Street, meaning big funds. They say by 2030, that number will be, the Wall Street will own, I think, 46% of homes in America
2030.
by 2030. So like these funds, they're rapidly trying to own real estate. Here's why mindset is so key to this is Wall Street is looking at this without emotions. It's all numbers to them. They have their algorithms, they have their numbers, they know what works. They have a hold period of 7 to 10 years or whatever it is, and they know they're going to make money on it. So they're buying without emotions. The problem is so many of us are stuck in a mindset of I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. We don't get in, we don't get started because our emotions are controlling the decision rather than numbers. But we really want you guys to get more friends to come or just tell them all this stuff. But we really desire to help people do this. It seems probably oxymoron that we'd want competition, but we're both competitive, so we can stand it. But really, I really believe it's important that we get more people educated and involved and adjusting their mindset to get involved. Otherwise,
Well, you get more people involved and the more deals that are going to come to you. I mean, you get people that are start wholesaling, they're going to give deals to you. So,
Marty, do you want to go ahead and address that and let them know how we could find you, your group, all that straight to the camera?
sure. So you can find me on social, Marty Hofmann on Instagram, Facebook, REI Mindset. I believe we have a webpage for that. I think there's a YouTube channel as well. Honestly, maybe just put that in the show notes because my daughter usually runs all that stuff. But look us up. We really want to help people learn more about this and get more people involved. And that's the other thing that often happens in this space is as people become good at it, they want to teach others because that's where satisfaction is. So Jade and I aren't really necessarily we're not making any money in this. But we're here to share and open up and just help you guys play the game. So the more the merrier. So that's what I'd like to do now is just open this up for you guys to wander around, talk to people, and learn from other people. And you guys can corner us if you want as well. Thank you.